hard man stole about $1,900 from me in Crime City, and I've just taken $13,590 back from him.
Get him done.
Well, why do I think that he's an asshole for taking my money, but I don't think I'm an asshole when I take other people's money?
Because his name's Hardman.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that does make him a bit of an asshole. Everybody's got one, some of us is one. Asshole. Yeah. The fact that he named himself that does make him deserve to die. I do believe that. Or deserve to be impotent for the rest of his life. Or he is. Actually, I've been thinking about that a lot. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Okay. And I left a little note on his wall that said, "War is such an expensive habit, don't you think? It's such a waste of time." So let's do one at a time like we had before. We've got an hour and a half. We should get busy here. I don't care what your question to start with. It doesn't have to be about the new stuff that came today. It can be about anything you want. If you've got questions, let's go. Want to start? And then one.
Yeah, there were just a couple of the prime fixes that I just wanted clarification
Yep.
on. Could you go over morally okay after rape? Just
Yeah, the idea there is that at the prima facie level, at least, it seems like the fetus is just as innocent either way. So if it's a person, then it's not okay in either, no matter what its origin. And if it's not a person, then you don't need that. What else?
could you go over miserable life again?
Which one?
Miserable life.
Miserable life is a hardship argument. So the idea is really two things to say there. You can have credit if you said that not all of them will have miserable lives. That's just an exaggeration. But full credit for saying that begs the question by assuming without argument that fetus isn't a person. Because if it were, you couldn't kill it. It wouldn't be morally permissible to kill it to prevent it from having a miserable life. Think about the 2-year-old. You know, suppose we know that the 2-year-olds can have a miserable life. That still wouldn't make it okay to kill it.
Right.
That must be assuming it's not a person either. Any others?
Wait, can you say the rape one again?
The rape one I just said, the point was just that the fetus is just as innocent when it's the product of rape as it is in any other case. So if it's a person, then it really is a kind of a hardship argument too, really, right? If it's a person, then it's morally impermissible to kill it, even no matter what. No matter how bad it is for the mom, you can sympathize a lot, but that doesn't mean you can kill somebody else to prevent her from suffering, right? And if it's not a person, then you don't need the rape to justify the abortion.
So is that still begging the question?
It's begging the question by presupposing that the fetus doesn't have a right to life, I think. I mean, it could just be, that it may be giving the argument more than it deserves, because it may just be that they're just saying that it's okay in that case and not even thinking about whether it's a person or not. But if there is an issue about whether it's a person or not, and for a 2-year-old, nobody would think that it was okay to do that. What else? We're sticking with number 1 now. So, questions about those dialogues?
I just have like a general question. Are we supposed to, is like every sentence that you say supposed to be an argument that we're supposed to analyze? Or?
It's not set up like that. There aren't a lot of wasted words in there, but some of them are. So there may be sentences that don't have stuff in them, and there may be sentences that have several things in them.
Okay.
So it's not sentence by sentence, although if I were approaching it, I would go through each one and look for, hints of things that we talked about in class.
So all you need to say is like, this is incorrect because, or like, this is prima facie because, and
Prima facie is, it's going to be prima facie something or other, right? Prima facie incorrect because you can just say, I wouldn't even bother with that. Hey, I would just start with, I'd just say, rape presupposes that fetus has no right to life. Not okay to kill a 2-year-old. Or miserable life presupposes, it's not going to, they won't always have a miserable life. Presupposes no right to life. Not okay to kill a 2-year-old to prevent it from having a miserable life. Not okay to kill a 2-year-old to prevent the mother from suffering even more pain than she's already had to suffer, sadly. So I would just, if I were doing this one, I would just be very, very efficient like that. The danger of abbreviating is that people don't explain enough. And you don't want to do that, but you don't have to go for complete sentences. You don't have to use the words prima facie at all. You're not to say this is objectionable because, just give me the words and, identify it with some word from the sentence and then tell me what's wrong with it.
Part B, I understand more of the pain concept. Can you go over the argument about the abortion versus death penalty?
Yeah, in number 2, could you just read what it says in B?
A fetus is certainly a potential person, and so it is wrong to kill it. But seriously, how can you think abortion is permissible and yet be against the death penalty? And there was some science will prove that the fetus is a person.
Okay. Well, that's not. Could you ask about the death penalty one, right?
Yeah.
Abortion okay, death penalty not okay, right?
Yeah.
So you think that the death penalty is not okay because it's too expensive, and think that abortion is okay because the fetus is perfect. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, just something like that.
Because it's an accusation of inconsistency, and there is no inconsistency between these two positions.
Okay.
That's all. I mean, if you want to give a fancy answer, you could say, this is an accusation of inconsistency, but it's not inconsistent because you could think abortion's okay because you think fetuses aren't person, you could think death penalty is not okay.
And by
Those
person,
things
you
too
think
expensive.
that death penalty is okay because inheritors, and you say abortion's not okay because they're as well.
On
If
C,
you go in, if you look at the opposite.
that would be for C, right? Wherever it comes up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and an important thing is not to confuse those two, right? People do that. Yep.
In the beginning of like A and B, like it has.
You don't have to ask, but you get an A anyway for recording the thing, right?
What?
Nothing.
Abortion is such a controversial issue that people. I think we talked about this today, but I don't think I wrote it down. People should be allowed to make up their own minds at least until we come to the is that one that we should also like?
Controversial issue thing?
Yeah, at least until we come to a consensus one way or another. Yeah.
So the fact is, I mean, suppose there's no consensus on whether it's okay or not. That doesn't mean that it is okay.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there was no consensus about slavery, but it was still wrong. There was no consensus about sexism, but it's still wrong, and it always was. People just didn't know it was wrong. Or some people didn't.
And part in B, like the first sentence, a fetus is certainly a potential person, and so it is wrong to kill it. Is that something?
Yeah, so a potential person, if we're using the word person to mean being with the right to life, a potential person is somebody that doesn't have, is something that doesn't have the right to life yet, but will in the normal course of things, right? But it will also, in the normal course of things, have the right to drive a car, but doesn't have the right to do that now, right? That'll work too, yeah. Potential college degree is not the same thing as a college degree. Nowadays, I've always thought it that way, and nowadays I feel a little guilty about it because I'm not sure that a college degree makes you more employable anymore, it makes it suck no matter what you do. But I'm hoping that by the time you guys are out, there'll be lots of jobs and they'll be reserved for University of Vermont graduates. That's how you first, so go.
Can you just go over aren't you glad your mother did?
Yeah, that's saying that because you're glad you're here, it wouldn't have been okay to prevent you from coming, right? And that proves too much because that means that we should have any babies that we think would be glad to be here. In which case we should be making a lot more of them rather than using birth control, stuff like that. Make as many as possible, but that's a reductio. That's crazy.
In B, that's why the pro-life position is the right one. Do we just have to say like how they're not supposed to say pro-life? Is that what we're supposed to talk about?
The only problem with that sentence is the phrase pro-life.
Okay.
And what's wrong with that is it makes the other side look like they're pro-death or anti-death.
Okay.
That's all you need to say. Right?
Something you talked about, the whole argument like whether or not already conceived fetuses are better than not conceived fetuses. Is that part of the
it actually came up with the ones with the one we just did about make the right choice your mother did. I mean, some people will say yeah, I'm not saying you should have as many babies as, and the same with the Martin Luther King one. I'm not saying you should have as many babies as possible, but the ones that you've already made, you shouldn't kill because they'll be glad to be here.
Okay.
But then that's distinguishing between the ones you've already made and the ones you haven't. And it's as if somehow the ones that you've already made have more of a right to life because they're here than the ones who don't, and that's not been shown. If you didn't say that, you probably could get full credit anyway, but that's what that was about. It wasn't about abortion and birth control. What else on question number 1? Yep.
Can you make the differentiation between the second claim in number 1, which is that a woman has a right to decide what to do with her own body and therefore a right to an abortion? There's 2 other really similar claims to that. The Mo one that we talked about today, as if the fetus was just something you could dispose of.
Yep.
And the claim that I have the right to choose, so I have the right to have an abortion, or something of choice.
The ones that seem similar to me are, so start with a woman has a right to do whatever she wants with her own body, and therefore a right to get an abortion. There are 2 problems with that. First of all, nobody really believes that anybody has a right to do whatever they want with their own body. But they really should be set, because your fist is part of your body and your knee is part of your body. You're not allowed to, put it into some, your neighbor's groin, right? So what they really must mean is abortion, that a person's right to do whatever she wants with her own body as long as she doesn't violate anybody else's right. But once you make that explicit, it's clear that it's begging the question by presupposing that the fetus isn't somebody else that has a right that might be involved here. Right? And that's what's got to be shown.
Yeah.
Okay? Now when you get to the fetus is just a part of her body, that's a new claim, right? It's not that she has a right to do whatever she wants with her own body, no matter who else is involved. It's saying that it is part of her body. That's something new. But the idea that it's part of her body in the sense that it has no moral rights is just question begging, right? A wart or a mole doesn't have a right to life, but Aang is connected to Chang, and he has a right to life.
Right.
Presumably.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's 3 points. That's 3 different things that I'm looking for. Each one of them gets points.
First part of C, well, I personally think abortion is murder, but I still insist that women have the right to choose.
Okay, that's an inconsistent position, because if you think it's murder, you think that it's the morally wrong killing of a person. Why would you think that it's okay for people to choose to kill people? Right? I mean, to commit murder, to wrongfully kill people. So, I mean, if you think it's murder, then you shouldn't be in favor of people being allowed to choose. Think of it like this. I think killing your 5-year-old is murder, but I think people should be allowed to choose whether to do that or not. That's pretty crazy. Right?
I have one just important question. When with the hardship statements, do we have to state that it's a hardship statement?
Nope.
Okay. And then I have a question.
And you can, but whatever's helpful, you just have to show the way in which they're questioning. Yeah, suppose I said if you don't want to own slaves, you don't have to own slaves. The point is, it's presupposing that it's not morally wrong without any argument that it's not morally wrong. If you don't want to shoot your, husband, you don't have to.
Is that question begging?
In a way, it's question begging because it's assuming without argument that the fetus, that abortion is morally permissible. For sure. I mean, a lot of them are question begging in that sense. But anyway, the point is that it overlooks the moral question of whether or not it's wrong. If it's wrong, then you shouldn't do it. And yeah. Person saying if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. The point is, if it's wrong, nobody should do it. If it's okay, then anybody can do it.
The thing that men have to do is